Worst Case Scenario is a 2024 action catastrophe thriller novel by T.J. Newman. Do you like a good action film? Cool, so do I. Movies and TV shows always hit a little differently than a book. It takes a special kind of competency as an author to evoke the kind of thrill that you get from watching an action movie. And I can be a real picky one when it comes to action and thriller and suspense books. So I went into Worst Case Scenario as an audiobook, being aware that this might not pan out super well for me just because I tend not to mesh super well with the genre. I was delighted to realize that I was wrong on this one. The basic plot of Worst Case Scenario is that a plane crashes into a soon-to-be decommissioned nuclear facility in Minnesota. Though the United States ostensibly has protections to stop these things from happening in the wake of 9/11 in real life and in the context of the book, the author's premise is that those fail-safes are not as foolproof as they could be, and in the case of the Clover Hill plant, potential dangers can't always be anticipated, and you don't always know how catastrophic they're going to be until something actually happens, and you have a chance to deal with whatever unique damage has caused the facility to malfunction. In this case, the technicians at Clover Hill are in a race to ensure that the plant does not catch on fire. If it does, it could cause a potentially extinction-level event. Do I recall the exact reason given for why this particular nuclear disaster will be worse than Chernobyl or Fukushima? No, because my brain is tiny and weak. I understand scientific explanations when I read them, but I cannot recreate them on my own later on. Anyway, the book covers a variety of characters across a multitude of scenarios as the clock slowly clicks down to 0 hour. The number of perspectives covered in this story is probably one of its best features. In the beginning, you see what happens when the plane crashes. You also see dozens of people afterwards and how the crash affects them. You've got firefighters, you have EMTs, you have normal people on the street who may have been hit by the debris. You got the family members of first responders realizing that whatever's just happened at the nuclear plant is going to involve those family members. It's a good set of perspectives that really highlights how a disaster like this can affect the immediate community around it. The book also, for what it's worth, makes a point of highlighting how even if we don't go full nuclear winter, if the facility is not appropriately handled, the fallout can have major consequences for the entire United States. It's not just Minnesota that will suffer. If the radiation isn't contained, farmland and river water will be contaminated, thousands will become refugees, which along with being a humanitarian crisis is also an economic one, because all those refugees will be out of a job and will necessarily require government assistance, and also all of those jobs, all the farming jobs, all the manufacturing jobs, all the other jobs that keep the economy afloat are going to be out. So even without an apocalypse-level threat, this could become a disaster with serious consequences for the United States of America, so you've got a good sense of how important everything that's done to repair and contain the Clover Hill leak is. As for the pacing, the book moves pretty briskly. The plane crashes right at the beginning, and we immediately see the fallout from it. We jump back and forth between all those character perspectives I mentioned, and there's rarely a dull moment when you get back to them after being away for a bit. There weren't any parts of the book that lull, as far as I'm concerned. Also worth mentioning is that, this book might have made me cry, like a little bitch. The author did a great job of setting up her characters, and without spoiling it, I will say that not all of those characters survived the duration of the book. Their deaths felt meaningful, and I felt like the descriptions of grief from the ones that were left behind were, well, they hit me real good, right in the feels, as the kids say. This is a good, solid action book. I very much enjoyed the miniseries Chernobyl, and the parts at Clover Hill when they were trying to stop everything from melting down, as well as when the neighboring town was being evacuated. It reminded me of a lot of certain parts of Chernobyl. Of course, Chernobyl was a lot darker and slower and more serious because it's dramatizing true events and people, but there were definitely some similarities to be found. I will say that Worst Case Scenario lacked much in political intrigue or corruption, so if you like Chernobyl for that sort of thing, you might not be into this one. I haven't read T.J. Newman's other stuff, but I'm definitely interested in doing so now. I mean, she's got 2 other books, Falling and Drowning, and both are about planes crashing into things. I guess Newman used to be a flight attendant, so God knows it's useful to put all that plane-related knowledge to use. Anyway, based off of what I read in this book, T.J. Newman's got a real talent for writing action suspense fiction, and I'm very much looking forward to getting into her other stuff.